Yes, guys, welcome yet to another edition of my YouTube videos. So, today is yet another day. We're going to discuss another very important topic. We're going to have a very important discussion. And I'm so excited to talk about this topic. I want to tell you that I'm so much excited to discuss this topic today. But I want to thank you for watching my videos. I want to thank you for always subscribing. I want to thank you for always sharing my content and commenting and showing me what you really want me to create next. So today we are going to talk about the need for Africans to go back to Africa. Yes. Such are the topics that I always have here. I always have topics that are so controversial sometimes that don't make some people comfortable. But I always request you as Africans that let us learn to have uncomfortable discussions. That is the only way we are going to be able to transform ourselves and change to become the Africans that we really want to be. There is a new Africa that we want to create. But that Africa is going to bring so much sacrifices. It's going to bring, it's going to come with a lot of changes into our own selves. If we don't change by ourselves, there is no way we are going to see the change that we really want to have. Like, we should change the way we see things, the way we see our own people, the way we see our fellow Africans, the way we understand issues, the way we choose to understand issues, and a lot of things. So today I want us to talk about the very important thing of Africans to go back to Africa. Like the Africans in the diaspora, the Africans everywhere in the world. There is a need for you, there is a need for me, there is a need for us to go back to Africa, to create the Africa that we really want to have. When we talk about the issues like this, people tell us that there is no money in Africa. Africans that went to the diaspora went there because they are looking for money to develop their country, to transform their people, and everything like that. But today I'm going to break it in two sections, and I'm going to give you a very detailed discussion. And I know you're going to like it, and I would also love to hear from you and what you really think about this particular topic. So make sure to comment down below. If you watch this video on the live stream or you watch it later, please make sure to be part of us by commenting down below. So I want us to talk about an issue of the population. Like, when we look at Africa, sometimes you see it's the most populated continent in the world. But again, when we look at the number of Africans that are in diaspora, we see that there is so much potential in these people. There is so much potential in Africans that live in the diaspora, in black people that live in diaspora, those people that choose to call themselves Africans, and those that don't choose to identify themselves as Africans but they are blacks. And if we use the opportunity of you people, me and other people that are in diaspora that are not living in Africa, and we go back to Africa, there is a way we can transform Africa and there is a way we can change it. Let's take it step by step. By 2011, there were 140 million Africans in the diaspora. By 2011, 140 million Africans living in diaspora means it was almost 3 Ugandas. Yes, because Uganda currently has a population of around 44 million people. So over 3 Ugandas being in the diaspora, just, okay, they are working and doing something, but 140 million Africans in diaspora, and that was 2011. So the numbers have increased by now because thousands of Africans leave Africa every single week to go and work abroad, if it's not daily. to go and work, to go and find greener pastures, to go and study, to go and live in the diaspora. So if we look at it in that particular way, then we are going to see. Now, going back to the statistics, let's see how many Africans are in one country, a single country of the United States of America. The people that choose to identify themselves as Africans, if you follow the statistics that are provided by Google, you see that there are 42 million people by 2019. In 2019, there were 42 million people that identify themselves to be African Americans, which number should have increased by now. Right now, I think it's even more than like maybe 44 or 45 million people that are Africans. And these statistics that they gave us are the people that chose to identify themselves as African Americans. But there are those ones that will say, no, I'm not going to identify myself. Or there are those ones that are not seen, or they are not reached out during the time when they are getting these statistics. So, after those numbers, we are going to discuss the next very important topic. When we look at the population of Africans in the diaspora, how can those Africans help Africa develop when they come back home? Like this video, comment, share with your friends, and please don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Let's continue with our live stream. Okay. So, Africa. How are we going to use this population of the Africans in the diaspora to develop Africa? Now, let us go back and look at labor, both skilled and non-skilled labor. The Africans in the diaspora, almost over 80% of them have got involved in two different skills. They've gotten skills on-job skills, those skills that you get when you're at work, and then they have also gotten the skills that they've gotten from schools, from colleges, from the universities that they have attained. Now, the skills that have been gotten from African Americans, the skills that have been gotten by Africans that live in Canada, the skills that have been gotten by all those different Africans in Asia and all other parts of the world, they are totally different, and they are so important to Africa. As a person that has traveled to different countries, you're not going to be reasoning the same. You're not going to be doing the things the same way like the person that has been in a particular country for a long time. Let it be America, let it be Asia, let it be anywhere. For example, if a person was born in America and he has been living in America since childhood, he has not gone to any other country, not even the neighboring country, that person doesn't think the same way an African that left Uganda and went to Kenya and went to Nairobi and went to South Africa and went to Nigeria in the past few years. So that way, that mindset that you have, that new way of thinking, that new way of doing things is what is so important to us as Africans and to the African continent. If you use that knowledge in Africa, it is going to help Africa develop so much and on a very high rate. The skilled labor, you are doctors, you are nurses, you are teachers, you are lawyers. You have the skills in business. You've qualified, you've went to Harvard, you've gone to different schools of business, different schools of economics, and you've learned the economics that is so much advanced. If you bring those skills and use them in Africa, when you've settled in Africa totally, how do you see Africa in the next 10 years? How do you see Africa in the next 10 years? If all those skills are brought back to Africa and we start using those skills in Africa rather than using them in other countries. You understand? So those are the issues. That's what I'm talking about here. Okay? That's what I am talking about here. That Africa deserves better. Africa deserves better, but also the better that we want to have starts with us. we have flown out of the continent and we are still flying out of the continent to go and look for greener pastures. Of course, that is so important because it's not only Africans that leave their countries to go and work in other countries. But for me as an African, I always want to talk about Africa as Africa, not other countries. I always want to talk about the country that I really, really know, the country that the continent rather that I really, really know, and the continent that I yearn for, an Africa that is going to be so much comfortable for me to live in. Okay? As much as I don't want to talk bad things about Africa, however much I don't want to mention negatives about Africa, you will see that there is so much that is going on in the continent that needs to be fixed. But that so much that is going on in the continent can only be fixed by us. It can't be fixed by any other person. The problems in leadership, the problems in dictatorship, the problems in everything, they cannot be fixed by the Western world. They can never be fixed by America. They can never be fixed by anyone. For example, the dictatorship in Nigeria, the wars in Central African Republic, the wars in Congo, the political problems, the issues in Uganda, they can never be fixed by Biden. They can never be fixed by Canadians or any other person. It can only be fixed by the Africans. And the Africans that have much of the knowledge to fix these problems, to understand what is really going on and fix everything, are the Africans that are living in the diaspora. So, it is so important for Africans to go back home and live in Africa and build an Africa that we want to have. There is no way you're going to wake up in the morning and say, oh no, I want Africa that is like this, but when you're living in America. There is no way you're going to say, oh, I'm here in America, you live stream yourself. Sometimes I see people, they are live streaming, they say, our country can be like this, our continent can be like this. We are in America, I'm so comfortable, I'm going to Java, the roads are clean, there is no road shedding, the electricity is good, the mobile services are good, the customer care in places is good and everything. But that can be built by you. That can be put in place by you. If we Africans wake up in the morning and say, no, this is what we want to have, this is what we want to build, we can build it. We can bring it. Now, let us go back to the numbers that I was calculating. When we look at the economy the population actually, based on the contribution of Africans in the diaspora, the tax that African in diaspora pay, the money that you pay in buying products and produces, buying everything that you use at home, paying for medication, paying bills, buying houses or building houses, the cars, the fuel and everything. That contribution that you make in America, the contribution that you make in Canada, the contribution that you make in all those different countries, it can matter if you bring it to Africa. It can be so important and very, very much important if you take it to Africa. For example, let us go back to music. Recently, the Grammys happened, the Grammy Awards, one of the biggest celebrations of music globally. Now, the Grammy Awards happened, and a lot of Africans, okay, let me say a lot of blacks, because some people don't want to be identified as Africans. So a lot of blacks got accolades, they won awards, and they came out as winners. And there's some Africans, if I remember, there are only 2 Africans, which was Black Coffee from South Africa, and then Angelique Kidjo from Benin, right? The ones that came up with awards. So these awards, they were created by whites. And there is a very big contribution of blacks to these awards. Actually, almost 80% or more. Now, this is how it happens. When they create these awards. They are going to award the best in each category. But in American music, the most trending music and the most liked or loved music is a music that is done by African Americans or Black Americans. For example, hip hop. And the number of Americans or the number of Europeans, the number of people that love hip hop, almost 80% of them are blacks. The number of people that love Afropop, almost 80% of them are blacks. The number of people that love that R&B, that hard R&B music, 80% of them are blacks. Now, when they nominate people, when they nominate people, the black people in those awards, they nominate them not just to be awarded, but they nominate them to use them for the awards, to use them to build their brands. Because whenever you say that Nas was nominated in such and such awards, the world is going to talk about that. Every media house is going to talk about that. And even if they don't give him the accolade, they've already won the brand promotion that is free, brand marketing that is totally free, that hasn't been paid for. Let me tell you, for example, in Africa, they nominated people like Wizkid, Black Coffee, Angelique Kidjo, and other people that have always been nominated, like Burna Boy and other people. Now, they will nominate a number of people, the people that they think pull up audiences, the people that have a lot of people that are going to vote for them or are going to be interested in knowing that these people have been nominated and they're going to follow up. Now, if you nominate Wizkid, let us take an example of one person, Wizkid. If Wizkid is nominated in the Grammys, all media houses in Africa that do entertainment are going to talk about Wizkid being nominated in the Grammys. Now, when they talk about, they're talking about two things. They're talking about the keyword Wizkid as an artist, but whenever they talk about Wizkid as an artist, they are going to associate the name with the Grammys, the brand Grammys. And that is how it is going to be big and become more big, and your contribution is going to be so massive. And now take it to that level, and let us talk about all the Africans that were nominated in the 2022 Grammy Awards. And then let's take all the blacks that were nominated in the 2022 Grammy Awards that just happened recently. The contribution of the funds, the contribution of the brand names that have been associated with the Grammys is bigger than the contribution of the Grammys to these brand names. So you find out that the brand Grammys, the awards, they're achieving more in nominating African artists than African artists than the achievements that African artists are getting from being nominated in the Grammys. Of course, we shall say they already built their brand, they already got what they want, and they always want to do what? No. That is something that will be talked by a person that has a lame way of thinking or the capacity of thinking. But if you really understand how brands deal and how marketing is done and everything, you will know how much people like Wizkid, people like Angelique Kidjo, people like Eddie Kenzo, people like Burna Boy, people like all other African artists are so important to the all African artists are so important to the Grammys. So that is another point of numbers. If you look at the population of the Africans in diaspora and then look at the numbers how we can add to the development of our own continent. So let us look at everything in the contribution way. Let us look at everything in how we can support each other, in how we can help the continent, in how we can be so much useful. Okay. Yes. Minyard, I want to say hi to you. Thank you for watching. And everyone that is watching right now, and those people are going to watch later after the stream, I want to hear from you, and I want to know what you really think about this particular topic. And make your points too. I also want to hear what you really think about things like this. I bring up topics like this one because I want all of us to be to understand, and I want all of us to be participants. I may not be the smartest, I may not be the, the, quick, the quickest thinker, I may not be the person with the highest level of intelligence, but I want to bring up these topics so that we can understand everything, and we can discuss them as Africans, because we are all we're all Africans, and we can benefit from all these topics. Now, building democracy and building the Africa that is upright when it comes to leadership. There is something that most of the African leaders, the dictators, have done to Africa. Not all of them, but most of African leaders. They've made Africans think that things can't change peacefully. They've made Africans think that everything needs fighting, everything needs intolerance, everything needs to be rude and be tough almost every time. And in that way, Africa is being led to a very, very, very bad situation. The people that we've put here, like our children, they are going to find a very, very bitter example. They are going to find a very, very bad example, because that is what they are being told. They are being told to be bad people. They are being told to be dictators. They are being told to not respect each other. They are being told that if you're given something, you don't let it go until you really feel like you want, until you die, until if you're put in a leadership position, you shouldn't leave that place until you die. Now, for anyone that has traveled, you've gone out of Africa, you've been in America for a long time, you've been in London for a long time, you've been in Canada for a long time, there is a way that you think when it comes to democracy, mostly of Africans that have been living in European countries and countries that are somehow ahead of Africa when it comes to democracy and leadership. There is a way that you think. There is a way you understand issues, mostly the issues of leadership. So, if Africans that think like that the majority that have the same mindset, the mindset that is not of dictatorship, but the mindset that is of wanting to have a good leadership, the mindset that is of wanting to have a new Africa that has changed, that has transformed. If you go back to Africa and start teaching people and start bringing the transformation, start speaking out, because Africans have actually ruled Africa. Most of the leaders have ruled Africa with a very, very, very strong iron arm, to an extent that they have let these people think that there is no way you can have democracy in a country. They have let these people think that there is no way you can have equality in a country. They have let these people think that there is no way a country can be upright when it comes to leadership. And this effect has reached families, it has reached the children that we are giving birth to, it has reached everywhere in the continent. But if a person like you that has been in countries that has developed when it comes to leadership, the countries that have democracy, the countries that people come out and speak, countries that people can go out in the streets and demonstrate and they're not shot at, they're not killed, they go back home when they're still alive. If you go to Africa and start talking about that thing, you start preaching that message and start physically engaging yourselves in transforming the African leadership, just imagine how much you can change Africa. You go back and transform Africa. Engage yourself in leadership. Teach people democracy. Teach people how to respond to bad leaders. Teach people how to ask questions. Teach people all the things that need to be taught to people to understand leadership. Because, just like I told you, the African leaders, the leaders and the dictators, these people that don't want to leave leadership, always try to intimidate Africans and put them in a situation that there is no way African can transform. There is no way a leader can leave power peaceful. You see that they're always fighting. They've made corruption and everything become usual. But that's not my topic for today. But I want just to give you how important, to show you how important it is for you to go back to Africa and teach people things like leadership and democracy and everything. The Africa that we want will come to pass very soon. But it needs our collective engagement. It needs us to be part of it. It needs us all to be responsible and take part of the Africa that we really want to have. It is not just going to take Shammah. It's not just going to take any other person. It's not going to take a single person or two. It's going to take all of us to be part of the development that we want to have. Now, I'm going to talk about another issue. I talked about the population factor, and I explained to you how much it is so important for over 140 Africans that are in diaspora to go back home. I told you about our economic contribution to the countries that we are living in. I told you about our contribution to the relevance of their brands and their companies. I told you about how much we can transform our countries when it comes to teaching them the values of democracy, the importance of democracy and good leadership. And I've showed you all those things. So how can we really transform Africa 100% basing on all those issues? Yes, thank you for keeping yourself here. My name is Shammah Benefits. Please don't forget to like this video. Give it a thumb up. Like it, and please comment down below. Let us be interactive. I want you to be part of the conversation. As long as you're here, I see people are watching here, but you're not interacting. It's good to like, it's good to comment down below. It's good to make your point. I want to hear, I want to know what you're really thinking about, okay? My channel has been going through some issues in the recent, and that's why you see I'm not getting a very big peak. But of course, I appreciate everyone that is here. Some people are not getting notifications of my live stream because I got some issues with YouTube, but hopefully it will be fixed very, very soon. So we were taught hatred or hating each other since we were born. The education system and everything that we went through were the system of the colonialists. The people that wanted us to be submissive to them, the people that wanted us to go through what they want to do. It is so hypocritical to an extent that some of these people, the things that they tell us to study in our classes, the things that they tell us to teach and follow the education system, they don't even teach them in their own countries. You understand? But that is the education system that we have been brought up in. As Africans, we were brought up to be, I don't want to use a very bad word, but of course, let us accept to have uncomfortable discussions. That's the only way we are going to have what we really want to have. We have been always taught or created, we are created, brought up by these people to be slaves. That's why you see when we go to school, we have the slave masters, the ones that I call teachers, the slave masters, and then we have us that are slaves. That the kids are taught to follow, to be submissive, so much submissive, to an extent that African children are not even allowed to ask questions in classes. That sometimes when teachers teach a lesson for 1 hour or 50 minutes or 45 minutes, and they ask that, have you understood? If a student raises up an hand and says, have not understood, he might be punished for not understanding. So, we have been brought up in a very, very terrible environment where we don't ask questions. We don't ask questions of how, we don't ask questions of why, we don't ask questions of we don't raise up hands to ask questions, we don't raise up our hands to say we have not understood something. And now, because of our background and of the environment we've been brought up in, sometimes it needs another person, or it takes a very big lesson, like adult lessons, to transform ourselves or to get transformed. That's why you see I've put my emphasis in this video on the Africans that are in the diaspora. Because I believe that by the time a person travels, and the person leaves a continent, not just a country, but even a continent, and goes to another continent, lives with people in a diverse culture, people that have different mindsets, people that see things in a very, very different way. There is a way that you're going to come back thinking different. There is a way that you're going to come back having a totally different mindset when it comes to things that are happening in the country. Now, I'm going to discuss the issue of how much you can contribute when it comes to finance to the African continent. A lot of you send money to Africa almost every week, and some send money even every day. But to the countries that you're sending money, there is dictatorship, there is so much corruption, there is so much deduction of taxes from money that comes from abroad, and you end up doing the same thing. There is not so much development that this money is making because of the system that you are investing in. So I want us to discuss the issue of money. How much this money that you have can develop the continent, but when you invest it in a totally different way, when you use a totally different approach, rather than sending money to Africa. That's what I want us to talk about. Okay. So, every single week, every single month, every single day, you send millions of dollars to Africa. If I send $100, another one sends $50, another one sends $1,000, another one sends $3,000. That adds up and it becomes a lot of money. Now, that money is sent to Africa for education of our siblings, to pay bills for our parents, to pay bills for our people like our husbands and wives, to pay school fees, to buy land, to buy houses, to invest in different businesses that we have there, or even businesses that we are building just. Now, when this money reaches in Africa, it becomes tax deductible. They deduct tax after it arrives in the bank account, and then they deduct tax during the purchases that you're going to make. For example, you're going to pay tuition at schools, they deduct tax in the banks. For example, you're going to buy a car, you're going to buy land, or you're going to purchase any other thing. Even if you give it to your mom, when they go to buy anything in the grocery store or in the shops or anywhere, tax is going to be deducted. But when this tax is deducted or is cut off the money that you've made in the United States of America, the same percentage of the tax that is deducted from you in America, if it is deducted from you in Africa, you don't see anything that is doing. You don't see anything that is making. You don't see any transformation in your town. You don't see any transformation in the roads. You don't see any transformation in the electricity, in everything, and you don't see any development. So the only way that these things can be changed and you have the transformation that you really want to have is by going back and investing physically, changing the approach, going back and investing physically, going back and doing things the best way that you really want to have them. I've seen a lot of Africans that have sent money to Africa to construct houses, and when they go back, the houses they find are not the designs that they sent, are not the things that they want to have. You've created businesses in Africa when you're living in America. You've created businesses in Africa when you are living in totally a different continent. And you're leaving these businesses to people that don't have the same thinking like you have, that don't have the same vision for the businesses like you have. And a lot of businesses end up collapsing, they end up going down, they end up not doing anything and not being so important like the way they would have been successful. They're not striving, they're just struggling. Why? Because the people that have been giving these things are not understanding the way things are supposed to be operated. And they also don't have that feeling that you should have, that we could have had if you were running your own business. The thing that I'm telling you is what is happening in Asia. A lot of people are traveling, by the way, in different countries to go and work. It's not that it's only Africans that travel to go and work in different countries. But when they travel to go and work, they give themselves a time frame that I'm going to work for 10 years. I'm going to work for 15 years. I'm going to do this. And after that time, they make sure that they are going to come back to have something that they put on the table, to invest back home, and the money is going to be left back home. There is no way you are going to develop an economy that you are not investing in directly. Because for you, you say that we are investing in Africa indirectly. Okay, right. You pay bills, you pay everything. And even you have businesses back home in Africa. But as I told you, the things that you are doing, you're doing them indirectly. You're not putting a hand on them. That's why you see they are not happening the very way they could have happened if you were part of the development. Go back, build that school that you want to build. Use the money and build it the way you want to have it. Okay? Hello, DTV. Thank you for watching and thank you for interacting. Thank you for always being here. Go and build what you really want to build. Okay? Go and do what you want to do physically. The business that you want to have, the good roads that you want to have, the good places that you want to have. You have the money to invest in those places, but you want to go back and find them there and spend some little dollars and go back to US. Spend some little pounds and go back to, spend some few euros and go back to Germany. That is not the way that you're supposed to do it. Africa needs you. It really, really needs you. Okay? It really needs you. The only way it is going to be transformed, the only way the things are going to change is when you're part of the continent. It's not just being like far away and talk about issues and say this is what I want and say this and this, okay? But Africa needs you to be there physically. DTV, I'm from Uganda. Yes, I'm an African from Uganda. Yes, Chang, thank you for watching my video and thank you for saying it's a hot topic. Thank you for being here. Yeah, so That is the only way we are going to transform a continent, and that's the only way we are going to see the results that we want to see. Right now, you see that the African Afrobeat, the African music, is almost everywhere. Even in Asia, you find that a lot of people are sampling African beats, but they're not doing it directly, but they're sampling African beats. And you see that the new pop that is in Asia right now, like K-pop, V-pop, most of that pop music, there is a new sample of Afrobeat in it. But the African person, like the African artist, whenever they go out to perform from Africa, that's what they call a global market. Okay? But when like an Asian artist or an American artist goes to Africa, what is it called? Is it not global too? Now, we can create something when it comes to entertainment that can attract a global audience. We can create something in Africa that can attract a global audience. Yeah, you're in Asia, you're in Korea, right? I can see you're writing in Korean. You're in Korea DTV, yes. So we can create something that can attract global audience. And I want us to have something that can also be called global, not just getting up in the morning and say, oh, no. There is something that is global. To go global, you should go to America, you should perform in O2 Arena in London, you should perform in Canada, you should go to China, you should have global. To have a global audience means having people in other countries that are not African countries, or having people in the Western world. Okay, that is good. That is good to go foreign and have people in all other countries. But what if we also put the kind of relevance that these people have put in their countries? The kind of relevance that can be put on Africa. If we concentrate on building an award that is going to award all people in different categories in Africa and all other continents, and these are global awards and not just African awards, okay? Yes, we always want to have African awards, but we can have awards where Wizkid is going to compete directly with Jay-Z in the same category. Okay, I've just given you an example. I know there are totally different genres here, but I've just given you an example. For example, and we can create global entertainment awards. We can create global things that are going to happen in Africa. Okay? There is no way you're going to say, oh, no, we want a global thing. We want to join a global market. But when you are not respected back, when you're not respected back by the people that you are giving your own audience. Because whenever, let me say for an example, if Justin Bieber has a collaboration with Wizkid, of course, Wizkid is going to tap into Justin Bieber's audience, but it is going to be more important to Justin Bieber because that music, that song is going to be listened to in Africa more than it is going to be listened to in other countries. So, if we only look at things in that perspective, in a way that everyone is not looking at it, because whenever we have a collaboration with them, it's like they are helping us to have some time. That it's like they're helping us to have another new audience. It's like they're helping us to tap into their audience and to tap into their market. But what if we looked at it in a totally different way and also create our own relevance. Create relevance for ourselves. Create relevance for our artists. Create relevance for our people in the art, in the entertainment industry. Create relevance for ourselves, okay? Not just being seen as people that are looking for relevance, as people that are looking for a way to tap into other people's audience, but also being seen as relevant people that can create a change in someone's music career, in someone's career, if they tap into us. Of course, I know they understand it. They understand it, and they know that if they have a collaboration with an African artist, they're going to tap into African market. They're going to tap into the African audience. But I want all of us to also have the same mindset like they have. Okay? So, Africa, as an African, as a black African guy, I think that a lot of things. Yes, DTV, you say Africans go to America because the market is bigger. Yes, that's right. But the American market is big for African artists, for the black artists, because the 80% of the people that are directly into the entertainment industry or the fans are black Americans. So those black Americans, almost 60% of the black Americans in America are African Americans. So just imagine if that 60% just decide to give that very support to the African artists that are back home. That's my argument. That's what I'm talking about. Like if they get up in the morning and say that they are going to support them, that is the only way that we can have ourselves have a very bigger and better audience. Okay. Hello, Demike Naija. Thank you for coming through, bro. I'm always happy to see you. Thank you for giving me a thumb up. Thank you for watching, and thank you for commenting. Yeah. So that's my argument. That's what I'm talking about. If the audience that is in America that loves Wizkid music, 80% of it are African Americans. Those African Americans that consist of Nigerians, that consist of people that have roots in Uganda, that consist of people that have roots in Kenya and other African countries. You understand? So if those people if those people use that very audience to come back home and give that support directly to the African continent, create places, create venues, create management, and do things that can directly develop the African entertainment industry, but not just like supporting it back from America, supporting it back in Europe, supporting it back in Asia, but coming back home to the ground and say, okay, this is what we are going to have. This is the only way we are going to develop Africa, by getting involved in it, by touching everything, being part of everything that we want to see. Not just saying, no, Africa will develop, this is what Africa will be transformed, this is what we should do, but we should be part of the transformation that we want to have. Yes. Yeah, I want to send my shout out to DTV. Thank you for being on the live stream and engaging. Chang, thank you for coming through. Minyat, thank you for watching, bro. Demi K, Naija, thank you for being here. Yeah, Chang, you said I want to make you go to Africa. Yes, of course, you're going to go to Africa very, very, very soon. You are going to be going to Africa very soon. So, guys, when these the Chinese, there is something that I always call the made in China. Okay, I don't want to say it, but I call it the made in China blueprint that some of other Asian countries have used to see that they have a development in their own countries. These people created something that they sat down and said, we are going to have something in the nearby future. But they had to invest in their time and their money at that time. I was talking to someone one time, someone that is in the economics and is a researcher. And he told me that China invests more money in being the China that you see, more than being the real China that it is supposed to be. They invest more money in trying to build themselves to be big in the people's eyes, to be big globally than any other thing. So the transcript or the whole thing, the whole idea is becoming globally recognized as a continent, but not globally recognized as a poor continent, not globally recognized or seen or known as a poverty-infiltrated continent, not globally seen as people that are beggars or people that always want to have something, or people that always want to go to other countries and make money or do what. But we can build a continent where our children and our grandchildren are going to have peace. Of course, it's not going to happen in a day. It's not going to happen in a week or a month or in 1 year. But if you start it right now, in the near future, it's going to be so big, and it's going to be something that you're not going to even to believe. And it will be better if you're part of it, if you're involved in it, if you're involved in what we are really doing. I always tell you on my YouTube channel that I decided not to talk about the negatives in Africa, but to find a way of building Africa, the Africa that I'm going to live in forever. Because even if I travel to how many countries, Africa will always be my home. Uganda, East Africa will always be my country where I find the most peace. So, if the place that I find most peace has countries that have wars from time to time, has countries that have people that have a different mindset, a mindset of negativity, of attacking people, abusing people, insulting and doing what? It has a mindset of people that hate each other more than they hate the other people that are called enemies. It has people that have developed hatred amongst themselves, and they have chosen to hate than to love themselves. Then there is a way that we can transform all that. There is a way that we can come together and say, no, I can build Uganda, and another person can build Nigeria, another one can build Ghana, and we come together as people and start building each other. But not the selfishness that we always put in ourselves and choose our countries rather than our continent is the reason why we sometimes have problems. It's the reason why we are getting problems to develop. We're getting challenges in our journey of development. Because there is no way we are going to develop and have a very, very good big continent when we are choosing ourselves. When you are choosing your personal self, you're choosing your own country. And some of you don't even choose countries, but you choose yourselves. You choose to be so big. You choose to put yourself in a position that you can't talk about another country's achievement. You can't talk about another person's artist. You can't talk about another country's good things that have happened. The only way you talk about them is... Now, let me give you an example. The Grammys happened, and of course, two African artists won Grammys, just like I told you. Black Coffee from South Africa, and then Angelique Kidjo from Benin. But in the category where Angelique Kidjo won, there was Wizkid and other African artists. Now, I was scrolling through my YouTube channel, my videos on YouTube, and I bumped into a video that... I don't want to mention the channel because I remember the channel. But I bumped into this video, and the title was Wizkid crying, how Wizkid lost the award. Wizkid crying after losing the award, and he put a laughing emoji, and he put tears there, and then the content in the video was like trying to shame Wizkid for not winning the award. But the award that is shaming Wizkid for not winning was won by another African artist. And I'm like, where is the love? Like, where is the importance of this video? How important is it? Because instead of talking about how Wizkid lost the award, what if you talk about the artist that won the award? Because there is an artist that won the award, and that artist is an African artist. And your YouTube channel talks about African entertainment. So what if we concentrate on the two African artists that won the award, instead of shaming the other African artists that didn't win the award? But of course, that's what I always tell you here, that we are always put in that way of trying to hate ourselves, of trying to be bad to ourselves, of not loving ourselves, of not teaching ourselves love, of always trying to see that we put down each other. And that's the way some of you look for views on YouTube, by breaking some people's hearts, by coming here and abusing and attacking yourselves, coming here and talking hell and speaking bad things about other people. People make mistakes every day. I make mistakes, you make mistakes, other people make mistakes every single day. But there is no way we are going to have a good place to live in when we are dwelling in mistakes and negativities and hatred and hating each other and talking hell about each other. We can build a continent where we can talk about the positive things that have happened, the good things that have happened, the things that I've done for you, the things that another person has done for you, the awards that Angelica Kiji won, and the achievements that she has had. She has had 5 Grammys in the past years. The awards that Black Coffee won, and the achievements that he got. The previous achievements that Davido and Wizkid and Eddie Kenzo and Diamond Platnumz and other people that have got. There's so many good things that you can talk about Africa. Even if you don't know them, you can do research on Google. There is the internet. There are blogs that have been talking about Africa for over a decade right now. And you can talk about those things. You can name those things and talk about them in your videos, rather than coming out and spreading hatred and talking about bad things about Africa and everything. Africans, we all need to go back home. We all need to build Africa. Over 140 million Africans live in the diaspora. If all those Africans went back to Africa right now, okay, if just 50% of those people went back to Africa, they invested, they built the Africa, they preached the love they want, they preached the words that they really want to hear, and everything the way they want it, just imagine what would really happen in Africa. Guys, thank you for watching this video. If you love it, just know these are the kind of topics that I discuss here every single week. I upload almost daily. So for more videos like this one, please subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't subscribed yet. Like this video, comment down below, and share it with your friends. I'd like to see you in my next video, and have a good day. Bye.